What do you make of what's going to happen over the next 48 hours, and then tell us what you think happens Monday?
Well, this reminds me a lot of what happened to Northern Rock when I was at the Bank of England, and the weekend was crucial because all the discussions was actually about the fact that you really worry about what happens when the banks open on Monday if you don't do something. Varoufakis has actually been talking, I see on the Bloomberg, talking to the central bank saying, you're saying there's a liquidity crisis. Well, in essence, all the things you've talked about suggest to anybody sitting in Greece there is a fundamental crisis and they probably should get their money out. It's been coming out during the week. So this looks to me like, first of all, more palliatives. The worry is Monday. But I think fundamentally what we haven't heard is a long-term fix. This is just a short-term Band-Aid, if you like. Where is the long-term fix? And I wrote on my pad, there is no such thing as an expansionary fiscal contraction, which means more austerity means further down. So I just don't think this is in any sense a fix. And either something will happen by Monday or it'll happen at a future Monday in the next 2 or 3 months.
So in the meantime, Danny, what would force the government, the Greek government, to impose bank controls or capital management, as it's being euphemistically called now?
Well, obviously money going out of the banks. And it's been doing that over the last few days. But if you were to listen to what's happened today, presumably you would think if you had money in a Greek bank, it was time to get it out of that bank. So that's the worry, and Varoufakis clearly understands that. But I think we should just go back and think, what here is actually going to do something to help Greece raise its GDP and lower its unemployment rate? And I don't see anything.
Danny Blanchflower, who are the key players in this besides the Greek Prime Minister and the Greek Finance Minister?
Well, obviously the German Finance Minister and Angela Merkel are clearly important figures here. And the rest, but I think they're really the two main ones. But I keep saying, and I've said on this program a number of times, Greece actually does have a bargaining chip. I haven't heard people say that France and Germany actually have 160 billion euros that Greece owes them. Greece has been in default half of the last 250 years. If they default, that's a huge amount of money. It's a political disaster, but it also has an impact on the other members of the community, of the Eurozone. So I do think that the whole thing has contagion in the air. We don't know what the long-run effects are of the UK and even in the US, and that's the fear, that this generates another global financial crisis. And in some sense, that's the card that Tsipras is playing, as well as trying to play. He's in Russia today talking to Putin. This is high-stakes poker, I guess you'd call it.
High-stakes poker. Do you see anything coming out of that, the discussions between Greece and Russia, where Russia can come in and be a white knight?
Well, I don't know about being a white knight. I mean, obviously there's an issue down the road, which is that all the EU members are going to vote on the renewal of sanctions in a few months' time, and one country can stop it. So obviously that's part of it. Apparently Greece and Russia signed a deal today with a pipeline going through it. I mean, I think this is political positioning, but I keep going back to, well, where's the long-run fix here? What suddenly gets the Greek economy to expand? And I think that's Tsipras' point and Varoufakis' point, to get the listeners to understand. Output is down 25% since 2010, and if the measures imposed by the Troika are implemented, I just see unemployment rising again and output falling further, and eventually the people will speak, and the young people have been speaking over the last few days. So this is crisis upon crisis, temporary fix, but there's no evidence here whatsoever of a long-run fix. And the fundamental thing is that austerity hasn't worked in Greece and hasn't worked anywhere else. And so that's the impasse we have.